Hello everybody. So today technology, and this is also the final lecture of this course. So today we'll be discussing about different types of fuel cell, and then we'll be having the idea about the applications of fuel cells, right? So to start with, the types of fuel cells, basically the different types of fuel cells are depend on the type of electrolyte that is used and also the type of electrolyte determines its operating temperature, which can vary widely from high temperature to low temperature. Normally the high temperature fuel cells operates at around temperature of 600 degree centigrade, and the low temperature fuel cells are around 250 degree centigrade. So the broad classification is made based on this temperature of operation. In case of low temperature fuel cells, the fuel cells can be alkali fuel cell or AFC, phosphoric acid fuel cell or PAFC, proton exchange membrane fuel cell or PEMFC, and in case of high temperature fuel cell, it can be molten carbonate fuel cell or MCFC and solid oxide fuel cell SOFC. So the different types of fuel cells, AFC, PAFC, PEMFC, these are all low temperature fuel cell, and MCFC and SOFC, these are high temperature fuel cells. So in the subsequent slides, we will be discussing about this 5 types of fuel cells and their basic principle of operation. Now, first comes the alkali fuel cell. This is the diagram of a alkali fuel cell. Uh, as electrolyte, we use potassium hydroxide in water. The efficiency of this fuel cell is around 70%. Operating temperature is 150 to 200 degrees centigrade, and the cell output range varies from 300 watt to 5 kilowatt. Alkali fuel cell was used in the Apollo spacecraft to provide both electricity and drinking water, because the water we get is in the purest form, and they require pure hydrogen fuel. However, and their platinum catalysts are expensive, right? And like any container filled with liquid, they can leak. So there is a chances of leakage in this type of fuel cell. This is basically a very old type of fuel cell. uh, Next comes the phosphoric acid fuel cell. This is again another type of fuel cell that operates in a low temperature range. The temperature of these fuel cells is around this 150 to 200 degrees centigrade. Efficiencies vary from 40 to 80%, and the output is from 200 kilowatt to 11 megawatt unit, and this has been used to tolerate carbon monoxide concentration of about 1.5%, and that's why it can absorb. That means it can absorb carbon monoxide also. So it uses it opens up the options of using the fuel, that means the hydrogen. In this case, you can use the hydrogen made available from the electrode catalysts are needed, and internal parts must be able to withstand the corrosive acid, right? Because we are using phosphoric acid as the main electrolyte in this type of fuel cell. Next comes the proton exchange membrane fuel cell. Uh, this is again a proton exchange fuel cell. Here we use a polymer electrolyte, and it is in a thin permeable sheet, in the form of thin permeable sheet. The efficiency is 40 to 50%. The operating temperature is 80 degrees centigrade. Cell outputs generally range from 50 to 250 kilowatt. Um, the solid flexible electrolyte will not leak, so this is an advantage. This cells operates at low enough temperature to make them suitable for home cars, but their fuels must be purified, and the platinum catalyst is used on both sides of the membrane. It increases the cost. Electrical output can be varied, and this is very much suitable for vehicles. That means the fuel cell that is used in the vehicles, electric vehicles, are of PEMFC type. That means proton exchange membrane fuel cells. Now, after discussing the three types of low temperature fuel cells, we will be having molten carbonate fuel cell, which is a high temperature fuel cell. In this case, a molten carbonate high temperature compounds of salt like sodium or magnesium carbonate is used as the electrolyte. Efficiency is 60 to 80%, temperature is about 650 degrees centigrade, output is up to 2 megawatt, design for 100 megawatt. Can be recycled to make additional electricity. Their nickel electrode catalysts are inexpensive. We don't use platinum catalyst here, we use nickel electrode catalyst. But the high temperature also limits the material and safe use of MCFC, and that's why they are not suitable for home application. Most fuel cell power plants in of a megawatt power capacity uses MCFC, because the heat that is generated is being used to further use it in further generation of power, right? So that's why you can have combined heat and power plants using this MCFC type of fuel cell. The last type of fuel cell is a solid oxide fuel cell. In this case, we use hard ceramic compound metal, calcium or zirconium oxides. Electrolyte is solid in this case also. Efficiency about 60%. The operating temperature is very high, around 1000 degrees centigrade. The output of the cell is 100 kilowatt. So at such high temperature, reformer is not required to extract hydrogen from the fuel. So we don't need any reforming mechanism, because at that high temperature hydrogen can easily be extracted. Waste heat can be recycled to make additional electricity. However, the high temperature limits application of, again the application is limited to large scale, and so also there is they tend to be rather large. There is no chance of leakage, but they can crack. Best run continuously due to high operating. Now, if we look at the comparison of these different types of fuel cell, we will see that the operating temperatures, we have already got an idea what are the operating temperature of this. These are the common electrolytes that also we have discussed. The efficiency, the range. Now, if you look at the application, we will see the alkaline fuel cell is largely used for military application and space application. The major advantage of alkali fuel cell is its cathode reactions are very fast, low cost component, and also the disadvantage is sensitive to CO2 in fuel and air. That's why we need to use pure hydrogen and pure oxygen, and the management of electrolyte is quite difficult, because the concentration level may change with time. Phosphoric acid fuel cell, it is used for distributed generation. Higher temperature enables CHP, that means combined heat power plant. You can develop a combined heat power plant. Increased tolerance to fuel impurities because of high temperature. Then platinum catalyst increases the cost. It takes a little bit longer to start up the fuel cell, and low current and power. Now, in case of polymer exchange membrane, the major application is backup power, portable power, distributed generation, transportation, and special vehicles. In case of advantages, as we use solid electrolyte, So it reduces corrosion and electric and also quick startup. Uh, the catalyst is expensive, sensitive to fuel impurities, low temperature waste heat, because this low temperature heat you cannot use for any purpose. Then comes the molten carbonate fuel cell. It has got the major application is electric utility. That means you can set up power plants, distributed generations, and the major advantages, it has got high efficiency, fuel flexibility because of the high temperature, can use a variety of catalysts suitable for combined heat power plant. That means the heat recovered can be used for further application. High temperature corrosion and breakdown of cell components, this is one major disadvantage. It also takes longer time to start up, and it has got a low power density. Solid oxide fuel cell, this is mainly used for auxiliary power, electric utility and distributed generation. It has also got very high efficiency. Fuel is flexible because you don't need to use pure hydrogen or oxygen. You can use syngas in place of hydrogen and air in place of oxygen. Can use a variety of catalyst. The electrolyte is solid, suitable for combined heat power plant. Hybrid and duty cycle also can be used, right. High temperature corrosion and breakdown of cell components, again because of the temperature. High temperature operation requires long startup time and limits. You need to give certain time to reach to that temperature level so that it can start generating electricity at the rated value. Now, if you backup power system, transportation, stationary power application. So there is a wide range of application that we find. Under portable applications, normally the power requirement is 25 watt to 5 kilowatt. So this can be used for military applications, consumer durables like laptop, mobile camera. This is a Nokia mobile based on fuel cell. It was designed, however it was not available in market till now. A prototype was developed based on fuel cell, right. Next comes backup power application. The primary power, if you can use it as a backup power system, so that when your primary power system fails, you can immediately run this fuel cell and generate power. The PEM fuel cell with compressed hydrogen fuel is most popular fuel cell type used for backup power application. And there are many fuel options available: compressed hydrogen, liquid hydrogen, propane, natural gas, as well as many other fuel types. Electrolyzer system is good option for backup power application because it can use hydrogen on demand, because so you need an electrolyzer. The electrolyzer can be used with electricity generated by solar panels, a wind source, nuclear source, or electricity generated by the local power company. So you don't need to store the hydrogen. What you can do is you can generate hydrogen, and that you can use directly in the fuel cell, right. And the, as you know, that if we generate hydrogen using electrolysis, we need external electric supply. So that can be managed using different renewable sources like solar based power plant. Or then you have transportation application. This is one major application of fuel cell, because we have already started getting fuel cell based vehicles, electric vehicles. um, Fuel cell is used to start up. Now, the depending on the application, how this fuel cell will be used in the vehicle, the application may be you can use it to start up power the vehicle, can supply a constant power so that it can accelerate and run on the fuel cell, or a fuel cell can be used as the secondary power source. That means if your primary source is failing, then you can use run the motor, run the vehicle on fuel cell. The operating temperature of an automotive fuel cell is between 60 to 80 degrees centigrade, and that is why the proton exchange membrane or polymer membrane fuel cell is most suitable for application in the field of transportation. Finally, the stationary applications, you can have we can use it the fuel cells for stationary application. For commercially it is available, which can be used up to 20 years. The main difference in this fuel cell system is the choice of a fuel cell and fuel, and the heating and cooling of the stacks. Stationary fuel cells can be used as a primary power source. It is often used to power houses that are not connected to the grid, or to provide supplementary power. In hybrid power systems, fuel cells can be connected to photovoltaic batteries or capacitors or wind turbines, providing primary or secondary power. Fuel cells can also be used as a backup peak periods. So, in that case also you can use fuel cell as a backup power. This picture shows the famous furniture brand IKEA. They are using this stationary fuel cells for their backup power system, right. So, that when your main power fails, they can run the system using this backup this fuel cells, and they can continue their production. This is a example of another application of fuel cell. You can see this is a bus based on hydrogen fuel cell that has been developed and is running in India. So, we are heading for a more greener technology. We are adopting greener technologies to make environment friendly energy generating systems, and the future energy requirement may be met up with all this technology that we have discussed till now, starting from solar, wind based system, MHD, geothermal, biomass, or even hydrogen energy, as we have already seen, can be used extensively to generate power, and finally the fuel cell. So, with this we come to the end of this course, where we have discussed about different renewable energy sources and their technologies that is available for extracting energy from these sources. I hope you enjoyed this lecture sessions throughout the course, and have got a good idea about different renewable